Hi guys, next up in my ranking series is the Scream franchise. There are 4 movies in this franchise, so let's get cracking. Now in at number 4 is Scream 3 from 2000. I think that it was a good end to the first part of the trilogy, or the first trilogy for Scream, but I would say that it went a little bit overboard and it took itself out of its comfort zone. I would say that it was a little more Hollywood. They knew that they made a lot of money in Scream 1 and 2 and they wanted to make it a bigger budget, and by doing that they spent their money in the wrong way. I would say that they got too many cast members, too many leading roles in this movie that you didn't know which way to look, and in the very end they overcomplicated the storyline with the brother aspect, and they got rid of Cotton Weary too fast at the beginning of the movie as well. I just think it was a bit of a balls to the wall, a lot of decisions made in this film and not enough time to actually think about it. And I would say it was the weakest one in the series. An aspect that I liked about the Scream franchise and the first 2 Scream movies was that it was set in high school or college. You had the teens in there, it was a teen slasher, and I think that that's something that was missing from Scream 3 because they don't go to high school anymore, they don't go to college, which I know they all grow up, and it's just something that was missing from the movie. It couldn't be helped because they had to grow up, but it was something that was missing from the movie for me, and I think that that's what makes it the worst one in the franchise.
So now, starting now, I go where you go. That way, if someone wants to kill me, I'll be with you. And since they really want to kill you, they won't kill me. They'll kill you. Make sense? None.
And then number 3 is Scream 4, which is the latest in the franchise. I think bringing in the new cast was a good idea. It freshens things up and it also gives us an excuse to go back to high school. But one thing that ruins a lot of horror movies these days is technology, and they use the technology in Scream 4. I know they're self-aware of which the technology takes a role in movies these days, and I know they were self-aware in all the other Scream movies about what was happening in HIP back in the day, but the technology was overused in this one, and I think it was quite cheap the way they done it, but it doesn't take anything away from the overall movie.
Down behind you!
Go ahead if you have the guts.
Another aspect I'm kind of torn for Scream 4 is the fact that they tried to copy a few things, and a few characters had original character traits. We had characters that were acting like Randy. Those small traits that I liked and appreciated, but also I'm thinking to myself, are they trying to copy it and ride on the success of the first Scream movie?
Halloween, Texas Chainsaw, Dawn of the Dead, The Hills Have Eyes, Amityville Horror, Black Christmas, House of Wax, Hot Night, My Bloody Valentine.
And then at number 2 is Scream 2 from 1997. This movie came out just a year after the first one because we know that the first one was a major success. And although it was rushed, you can tell it was rushed, but although it was rushed, they still done a good job in the end up. Well, Wes Craven done a great job. I think this had a little more comedy in it. I do like the fact that they go back to college, so there's still that kind of teen slasher movie that I like from the late 90s. And it's got a lot of heart, because I did watch this 20 years ago, I've got a lot of nostalgic memories for it now, and that may be one of the reasons that I have it higher up than it maybe should be. I think movies that are self-aware of themselves sometimes go too far, and I think that's what Scream 3 did, but I think this one just has the right amount of self-awareness. They brought out Stab in this movie. It was like a movie about the happenings of Scream 1. I think it was quite clever, and they brought in some good actors to play the roles of the characters from the first movie as well. One of the biggest issues I had with Scream 2 was the choice of killers in this. I think it was a little bit too copycat from Scream 1. You had 2 killers, it was just so typical, and then they had a family tie to the killers from the first movie, so I think it was a little bit underwhelming, I would say. And there's no surprise that my number 1 spot goes to Scream 1 from 1996. This is a slasher movie that started and reignited the teen slasher phase. And it went on for about 5 or 6 years after Scream, maybe a little bit longer. And it was just cemented in history now for being the first teen slasher movie that was so successful and so popular that they had to broaden the horizons in Hollywood. I've said this time and time again that Scream has one of the best opening scenes in horror history, and even watching it 20 odd years later, watching the first scene with Drew Barrymore was so surprising and shocking, because Drew Barrymore was a big star at the time, and we just thought, well, she was on the front cover, she was on the posters, we just didn't expect what happened to happen.
Why do you want to know my name?
I want to know who I'm looking at.
As a teenager, I watched this movie every day, almost every day. and I think I know every line to every part of this movie as well. That's how much I've seen it, and that's how much I love it. Everything about this movie was just so good. The characters in this movie, the character development is great. You even felt for the killers. Even when you found out who the killers were, you were still engrossed in why they were doing it. And I liked how they always quoted from movies, from horror movies of the past. They always spoke about horror movies. Sometimes it made it so obvious who the killers were, you just weren't actually sure if that actually was the killers. You were just totally bemused. My favourite character, like most of you, was Randy as well. I think his one-liners were excellent. His comedy in the film was just right. He wasn't annoying. He was in it enough for us to love him so much. And he was one of those characters that we can relate to as horror fans and as movie fans. And he worked in the video store as well. Everybody wanted to work in a video store because of Randy. So that's the ranking from a Scream series, guys. Let me know what you think down below. What would your 4 be? Would Scream be at the top like most people? Some people don't think Scream is the best in the franchise. Let me know what your thoughts down below. Anyway guys, thanks a lot for watching again. Thanks for subscribing. I'll see you soon. Bye bye.